Hi there. Today I'm going to show you the best way that I found out at least to work with scenes in Unity, and by that I mean a level creator, which is a tool that streamlines the level creation process in your game. Makes it easier for you to create a lot of levels and scenes. Makes the process faster, right? A disclaimer, however, this is great if you're doing a game like Mega Man or Sonic or a Mario, a platformer game with not like a ridiculous amount of levels or of scenes. If you're making a game like Candy Crush with like I don't know 900 scenes or something like that, I wouldn't really recommend this process because you end up with a lot of scene assets in your game, and Unity doesn't really like that. It will make the build really heavy. If you're making a game like Candy Crush, you can streamline the process even more by making by like synthesizing the scene assets into a JSON maybe with just the information where the pieces are on the level. But this is not what we're going to discuss here, alright? So this is how to make a level creator. So this is my little window here. This is my level creator. This is the game I'm working on. It will come out soon for Android. So basically this game, it's a platformer, right? And it has some levels. And what this tool here does, this tool I created, it creates new levels for me. So I plug in the objects I want the new level to have. This is objects that every level that I'm going to make are going to have. So every level is going to have a camera, of course. Every level is going to have a player. Every level is going to have the sky here, the little backdrop thing here. Every level is going to have a particle system for the stars. Every level is going to have a game object that has the informations on the level, right? So by the right here you see a should break prefab, and this is just to tell Unity here, when you instantiate this object here, do not keep the prefab or keep the prefab, right? So for example here the level, every level is different, so they have different informations as you can see here. So they need to be unique, right? They cannot inherit from the prefab. So as you can see here, let me just show you guys working, and then I'll show you how I made it. So I'm just gonna create a new scene, call it 1-3, hit create new level, and boom, all the options are here. 1-3, it automatically saves to your scenes folder. So here you can see, and here are the objects, here the level with a broken prefab, right? So that's cool. It's fairly easy to do. I would say intermediate level programming, because you're working with tools and you're working with Windows and such. So I'm gonna start up a new project, and we're gonna go from there, right? So let's go. Okay, so starting from scratch, right? So this is a completely blank project here. Let's say that this is our like game scene, right? So let's create a sprite here, I guess, so we can have a player character. It can be a square, beautiful white square. This is our player here. So great. We're gonna need a folder to save the scenes. So scenes. We're gonna need a folder to get our resources from. Resources. Here we go. So we have our resources folder here. We have our scenes. So let's just make this a prefab. Let's make the camera a prefab. Let's make another object. We'll call it the level data. Level data. So cool. This is our little level data. We'll make it a prefab as well, but this one will be broken, just like in my example. These two are gonna remain as the prefab. So whatever changes I make throughout the course of the game will automatically be submitted. Sorry, pronunciation is a little bit hard for me today. Okay, this is our scene. Let's save it as level 1. Right, so just level 1. Beautiful level 1, right? Save right there. We're also gonna need a editor folder because we're making editor scripts, and editor scripts stay in the editor folder. So we're gonna need a C# script. We'll call it the level creator. Okay, so here we are, right? I just cleaned up the our little script that we made. So to do this, we're gonna need 3 classes, right? The first one's of course gonna be our level creator. This is where we keep the information on the objects that we're gonna instantiate, right? We're gonna need a class right here. Oh, sorry. We're gonna need a public class. It doesn't need to be. Oh, it needs a name for starters. So level objects. Doesn't need to inherit from anything, but it does need to be serializable. So we're just gonna system.serializable. Cool. And this is the class that is going to like keep the information on each object, right? So public game object. This is going to be the object that is going to be instantiated. And also, if you remember, we need to set if the prefab is going to be broken or not, right? So should break prefab. Oh, should break prefab. Okay, that's better. It's gonna start off as true, right? So this is so it's gonna start off as true, right? So now we need an array of pretty much level objects, right? So this right here, this class here, it's not first off, it's not gonna be a mono behavior, it's gonna be a scriptable object. For starters, it needs our list. So this is our list of objects to instantiate in the new scene, of course. It's not gonna be a list, it's just gonna be an array because it's like cheaper, a little bit cheaper. So right, actually just let's gonna call it like level objects. Cool. And now we do our little function, our helper function here. So level objects, it's gonna return this list here, right? Get level objects. And pretty much like what this function here does, like for starters, it first like checks if the list is not null for a safety reason, right? So if level objects equals null, it just like returns null. Oh my god, man! Typing and speaking, it's quite hard. Okay, return level objects. So it's gonna return our little list here. And just so I don't get lost in the future, and this is something you should always do. If you're using Visual Studio, it has this great little summary block here that you input something like, you input the description of the function that you're making, right? So get level objects, what is that? It returns the array of objects to instantiate. So what this summary block here does, when you hover your mouse over your function, it puts a little tag description underneath here, and it's quite cool. So we have our little list, we have our scriptable objects. Of course, we need to also create our little scriptable object. So we're gonna use a tag here called create asset menu. This creates a submenu when you right click on your folder, like on your project folder here, right? Underneath the little create block here, it's gonna show you the thing to create, right? So create asset menu and the name here. So it's gonna create. We're gonna just call this. We need this file name. It's gonna be level creator, and it's gonna be inside of the level slash level creator level creator. So what this does here, I'm just gonna show you, just let it build, right? So what it does here, if you come here to our resources folder, right, we create, it's gonna show up level and then level creator. This is the path that we put in here. If you never really use this scriptable object, you can just check the Unity manuals. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube as well. It's very easy, it's very simple, it's a very powerful tool. So yeah, do go look if you don't know what this is. Like, stop the video right now and go look, because it's kind of important, right? What we're going to do depends a lot of on this here. Okay, so these two classes are done. Now we come to like the quote-unquote hard part, which is our editor window, right? So public class level creator window, and it's gonna inherit from editor window. And I'm just gonna do a quick little comment here for Visual Studio. If you don't know it, Visual Studio has this, it's just like the IntelliJ IDE, right? If you type in Control dot, it's gonna show up like a lot of things that you can do here. So I'm just gonna click here, and it automatically includes the Unity editor, like using tag, like up there, right? So I'm just gonna scroll down my list here of what I need to do, just so I don't get lost, right? So here's our window. Okay, we need some, first off we need a reference to our level creator. So public level creator, this is gonna be our script. This is a reference to level creator. Okay, so just so I don't get lost in the future, right? We also, like, we're gonna need a string. So this is our new level name. Check if. So check if it's new or if it's blank, right? By default, it's gonna be blank. C# is gonna create a blank string, and that's not really good because we cannot really save a blank scene in Unity. So this is just a reminder. We need to check if it's blank, right? So now we're gonna need a function that is going to make our window appear. So right now this doesn't really make anything. We need this function here. Gonna be a static function, and pretty much what's gonna do, it's gonna get our reference to our window. So this is gonna use the editor window function, get window. It's gonna get a window of type level creator window. So this just returns an instance that Unity made of our window. And we're just gonna go window dot script. So we need to fill in the script because nothing is really filling this in for us. We need to manually do it. Window script equals. So that's why we created our resources folder. We're gonna load it from resources. Cool. Of course, the path here is gonna be level creator. Just gonna be in the root of our little resources folder, right? And now we can show our window. So this is what's going to make the window like appear. Like when you open a window, any of these windows here, it's gonna do the same thing. Now we need, let's go here, private void on GUI. This is going to be our window code. Window code. So here, inside here, we're gonna use two types of functions. We're gonna use our GUI layout and our editor GUI layout. either GUI layout and GUI layout, they serve the same purpose, right? I don't know why they're different. Of course, one is for editor scripts and the other one's for any random GUI scripts. But there are some things that the GUI layout has that the editor GUI layout doesn't have. It makes no sense, really. So security checks first, of course. If our script is new, so if this thing failed here, it's not gonna give us an error. It's just going to return and do nothing, right? Just for security. And now here we're gonna list our game objects. Cool. So we're just gonna like have a big for loop that shows everything that we have. And for that we're gonna first off GUI layouts dot label. So we're gonna put a little label on this thing here. It's just gonna call it new game objects. Cool. We actually don't even need we actually really don't need this, and we don't really need this. Okay. And now we do a for loop, and I'm just gonna use for each because I'm lazy. So for each object inside of our script dot level objects. And now we're going to do like a little horizontal field, which is like you know, this like three stacked boxes horizontally, just because it looks better. And always remember, if you begin a horizontal, right, just type in n horizontal like underneath it, or else you can like get confused and put this thing like here, and it's gonna break everything. So keep your code organized. It's gonna be better in the future. Trust me. So go. So for starters, we're gonna look at our object, right? Right now, right here, I'm gonna use a deprecated function. It's still working as of Unity 2017.2, which is the one I'm using. I guess it's the one I'm using. Yeah, .3. Okay. So it's still working. If in the future it doesn't work, you can feel free to change it. I'm not gonna change it right now because I'm not planning on changing objects inside of this editor, right? If I want to change the objects that I'm gonna like instantiate, I can always go here and change them in here. So I don't really have any. I'm not in a hurry, right, to change this function here. You can just go and look at the documentation, right, and change it yourself. I'm really not gonna bother because I'm way too lazy to do that. So our go is gonna be our object dot not get type, not object. Cool. Now this is the deprecated function I was talking about. So you're gonna use a GUI layout. So, alright, so this is our deprecated function here. I'm gonna add here a tag. You can see there are params options. If you don't know what params means, param is just a way to pass a lot of. It's like you're passing an array, okay, but you're not declaring it as an array of things. You're just listing them like with like just gonna list them with this thing here. I completely forget what the name of this little point here is, but you get the idea. So these params here, GUI layout options, they are going to define how the GUI box works, right? So when you see this, this box here, you can see that it stretches, right? But it always keeps the same size as the other boxes there. This is a GUI like param. This is a GUI option. So that's how they do these kind of things here. So I'm just gonna use one to clamp our max with it, right? So it's GUI layout, and we're gonna use a GUI layout inside of an editor GUI layout because Unity is weird. Makes no sense, man. Okay, so 300 like pixels, I guess. That's the max that our field is going to have. So now we do some checks. Let's say you changed the game object inside of your box, right? So we need to update this game object, right? Because you're just changing this one. So we need to update this one. So if here you change the object, here we do a little check. If it's different than object, right? So if it changed, first off we need to set that object to the new one. And now we're gonna use editor utility. So it's a class for editor scripts, and it's gonna do a set30. So set30 is the we're gonna pass here. It's gonna set30 our scripts. That's what we're saving. Set30 is the old way to save something in the editor, right? You know, when you like, let's say you change this level data here. Let's say no, let the player here. Let's say you change the position, right? And the level, it's got the little asterisks right there, the little symbol there, right? This means that the level has changed. You need to save it to apply the changes, right? Set30 does the same thing, but for the object. Dirty means it needs to be saved. If you don't save it, it's not gonna affect like these changes here. So if you change something here, right, and then you don't save it, okay, it needs to be a number, right, and you don't save it, well, Unity is just not going to change it if you open up your project again. So it's quite simple, right? This is what this does, and now we're gonna do the exact same thing but for the Boolean. So I'm just gonna, so here's our Boolean, the exact same like thing here. This time here use the toggle, so you know, because it's a Boolean, not an object field. Here we pass the information for the toggle, and here we link the things, and here we set the dirty. It's fairly simple. You guys get it, right? So this lists our objects just so we know what we're going to instantiate, right? This doesn't really do anything yet. So right here we're gonna do the block that creates the level, right? So for starters, so we need to first off get the name, right? So new level name, and right here I'm gonna use another horizontal group. So begin horizontal and then GUI layout and horizontal. Okay. So what's going to do? It's just gonna do like a button. I'm sorry, like name / button space button. So it's gonna do this just to keep it like organized and tidy up and cute. So first off, right, security checks, of course. If our name is different than like the blank name, and if our new level name is not new, it's never going to be new, right? C# by default always, like when you put an object here in your creator like area of the class, C# by default always like fills them in so they are not new. But if something were to happen, it's there. No, it's a security check. Of course, if it's new, then this thing is also going to return false. But you know. So here is our security check. Now here we put our button. So if GUI layout.button, the name of the button here is going to be create new level, and I'm also going to put here a param again. This time I'm gonna set the width to be always 200 pixels, right? So its fixed width. So button returns a boolean. So if you click the button, it's gonna do these things, right? So for starter, objects is equals to editors. Oh, sorry, script. Get level objects, right? Now we're using this function here. You may be asking yourself, oh, why didn't we use the function here? Well, because this is just going to show our objects, right? If this thing is empty or null, this for loop is just going to skip. But here, it's going to try to do things. So it's going to create a new level. It's going to save a new level. Anyway, you know. So if this list is null, it's still going to create a new level and save it without any objects, and we don't really want that. So here we use the function to make sure that if object is null, it's going to return, and it's not going to do anything, right? It's not going to create a level. It's not going to, you know, take our time, right? So now we create a scene. So I'm just going to use a var here, scene equals editor. Here we use the editor scene manager, and it's not gonna show up. We need to include it. Just create scene. Oh, sorry, just new scene. Create scene is to be used inside, like with the game running. I don't know why, because it's inside your editor. So why? It doesn't really make any sense. But okay. So new scene, we need to pass 2 parameters here. The first off, it's gonna be the new scene mode. Sorry, new scene setup. Here we can have, you know, the default scene. It says here light and a camera, and the empty scene doesn't have anything. It's gonna be the empty because we are going to add the object that it needs, right? And new scene mode. Here you can choose whether or not you're going to add this scene like on top of your existing one, because of like Unity 5 it does the additive thing there. I really never use that, but we're going to use a single because we're gonna create a new scene. It's gonna be a new level, of course, and we want the editor to change focus to that scene. So by doing this, we make sure that the editor is going to focus on the new scene. Cool. So now we need to loop through our objects. Is this how we write through? I don't know. Okay. Oh, sorry. So another for each, because again, I'm very lazy. And here we have a, well, pretty much we need to check if we need to break it or not. So if that should break prefab. Here we use the regular instantiates, right? So okay, the regular instantiates by default breaks prefabs, so we're not passing here any transform or any you know, rotation, because we don't really care about that. It's just gonna borrow the ones from here. So like the player is gonna instantiate on -5, the level is gonna instantiate on 0, 0. Let's go back here. We do this, and then just because when you instantiate something, like when you drag this in here, it puts the little like name, the name, and the little like number to say, oh, this is the second object, right? There's another one over there. I really hate this. So because I don't want to deal with having these things on every single like object on my new scene, I just had this line here. Pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a function from the string set of functions, right? We can use split. So what split does, breaks the string whenever it finds a character. So it's gonna break the string in 2 strings, an array, right? And then we're gonna get the first. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get the first item of this array of strings, right? So all this does here is just to make the name look a little bit like prettier. You don't really need to do that. And here we're gonna use our prefab. Oh. So prefab utility dots instantiate prefab. So what this does here, it keeps the prefab, or it keeps the link with to the prefab. So it's just that. Here we go. So this instantiates it, keeping the link. And I'm just gonna copy and paste this code here. Okay. So this is everything that it does. After you go through your for loop, then we can finally save scene. And we can finally save our scene here. So editor, scene manager, save scene, I guess. Yeah, it's safe. Okay. We're gonna save this scene that we just created. And here is the path, right? So assets, this is our root folder for our project here. It's the one where like these things reside on. Slash scenes, so this is the folder we made. Slash, then here we put the name. New level name, okay. And finally, don't forget we need the dot unity, because like you can create a scene dot like text if you want to. I don't know why, but you can. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna use the scene as a unity scene, so dot unity. All right, and that's it, right? Pretty much, not really hard. So that's what it does. Let's test it out, right? Here's a level creator. It has 3 new objects. Let's put things here. Okay, so it's gonna use the level data, the camera, and the player. The level data will break its prefab, just so we can test it. It's just like the example I showed you in the beginning, right? Just gonna save this. Here window you can see. Wait, we forgot. Sorry, we need to right here, this thing. Whoops. This needs a tag as well. So this needs to appear on our little menu. So we're gonna use a menu item. This is a tag that makes things appear. Window slash level creator. Okay, so right here, when it finishes building, yep, here you can see there's our level creator window. So when we open it up, boom, a little level creator, right? Okay, so I forgot the to add this. This is just a simple text field, so we can have, you know, our level name show up here. And by default it's just this. Like you can dock the window. It's a window like a Unity window, like, you know, any other Unity window. And by default nothing appears, but let's say we want to create our level 2, right? So as you can see, as you begin to type, the button appears. Click the button. Oh yeah, it creates a new scene. It breaks the prefab like it spawns the player using that the information from here. Everything like works, right? It's great. So this is the level creator. Next time I'm gonna do a video on a very simple tool. I call it the my level explorer. So pretty much what the level explorer is a bunch of buttons that automatically loads levels for me, so I don't have to, you know, look for the scenes folder, look for the one I want. No, it's all showed up like here. You could have seen it in the beginning. I showed you in the other project there. So that's pretty much it. I hope this helps. It really helped me out a lot on when I started developing platformers, right? And that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.